miracle, baby.
Yeah.
Miracle, miracle, serves. Miracle, miracle, serves. Miracle, miracle, serves. Miracle, miracle, serves.
We keep having all these problems. How we gonna solve them? Every day it's the same thing. All these unsolved issues, I guess it's official. Here we go again, the same boring thing. And I'm tired of the arguing and lying. So goodbye.
Good morning, everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is July the 10th, 2025, and today the topic is Jesus is preached, but ... Listen, I don't have too much time to dilly-dally because I need to get ready and be on my way to work, but I feel like it was important to come on over here and share this word today. Another important word, a meaty, heavy word. But hey, man, I'm here to do my part and just be obedient. Long story short, your girl did wake up from a dream. I did make note of it. I took note of the times that I woke up and whatnot as well. I think it was 6:01. Looked up several verses centered around that. And y'all, long story short, man, I was pretty much led to, I wouldn't just say a rebuke, but kind of like, the dream was very interesting. I mean, there was like this wedding, but the couple was being weird. I don't know. Like it was a lot going on. Like, so I ain't got too much time to go into that because it doesn't really, I guess, go. I mean, it goes hand in hand in regards to how I got to the topic, but it don't necessarily go with the topic. So I won't get too deep into it. But basically, long story short, as I was going deeper about it, I'm like, well, Lord, what does this mean? There was just a couple of things that was standing out to me that made me think about basically things from the perspective of, I guess, the teaching aspect. We know that there's so many out here that are preaching Christ, right? There are so many quote unquote false prophets, right? There are so many people that proclaim to be believers, but then their life don't reflect it, right? Maybe their ministry don't fully reflect the things of that nature. And I'm like, well, Lord, what do you want me to say about this? Because again, I oftentimes I don't necessarily feel even qualified for these words that be coming to me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, well, Lord, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like in this, and at some point I was looking at the clock, like I don't even know if I got time to go deeper about this, or to really like go back and forth with you about this, Lord, and things of that nature. But he started, I guess, revealing the revelations in regards to the verses and things like that centered around this conversation. And so I'm about to just get into it, and whoever is for it is for, and hopefully you feel led to go deeper about it for you yourself, your personal life, especially as a disciple of Christ or as a minister or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you proclaim to be some type of title, then I believe this is for you, and hopefully you can reflect on it, and the Lord will speak to you through little on me today. All right. So let me get on into it. All right. So one of the verses I was led to was Philippians 1:15-18. And when I read it, I was like, okay, Lord, well, it seems like it's okay. You know what I'm saying? As long as you being preached, you know what I mean? It should be all right. But then the but came in, and I was like, oh, well. So let's get to the first part first. Okay, so the Christ is preached part. So that pretty much comes from this verse, and this is what it says. It says, it is true that some preach Christ out of envy and rivalry, but others out of goodwill. The latter do so out of love. The former preach Christ out of selfish motivation. But what doesn't matter? The important thing is that in every way, whether from false motives or true, Christ is preached. And because of this, I rejoice. So obviously this is Paul, you know what I'm saying? And when I read it this morning, I'm like, okay, well, this don't seem like a full rebuke. It seemed like, okay, if Christ is preached, you say what doesn't matter. So I'm like, okay. And it was standing out to me, the whole Christ is preached part. So I'm like, okay, Lord, cool. Christ is preached, But basically what I was receiving today is that it does matter. It does matter your motive. It does matter your heart. It does matter whether the Lord is truly leading and guiding you. All of that matters when it comes to the Christ is preached part. Yes, Christ can use it, right? Yes, People can be healed, saved, all that type of stuff from you preaching Christ, right? But at the end of the day, if your heart ain't right, and if you are led by selfish ambition or whatever it is, if you're doing it, you know, from any other motive other than what to say here. Let me just say Bible. What did this verse say? Out of love. Then the Lord is looking at that, and He's gonna judge that at the end of the day. And here are the verses to corroborate what I'm saying. I probably didn't use that word right, but here it is. Proverbs 16:2 says, "All a person's way seem pure to them, but motives are weighed by the Lord." At the end of the day, the Lord is going to weigh your motives regardless. You know, even for little old me, what I'm saying? Even for little old me sitting here on GSL reading Bible to y'all and the stuff I do, like the Lord's gonna be, weighing my motives at the end of the day. Like I gotta make sure I'm like above reproach. Matter of fact, let me give you guys another verse before I tell you guys another example that I feel led to share. Matthew 7:21-23 says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven. Then I will tell them plainly, 'I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers.'" Now that is Pope, right? Like that is not good. Like that's probably one of the scariest verses in the Bible, to know that at the end of the day you could think that you're doing the will of the Lord, and then you be out of order, and He gonna tell you, "I never knew you." Like I don't know how y'all feel about that, but for me, I'm like, my goodness, Lord, like let me make sure like that I'm in order, you know what I'm saying, with the things that I'm doing. And I'm often seeking the Lord about, hey, Lord, this stuff came to my mind. Even this whole conversation right now, I'm like, Lord, this thing got brought to my mind. I don't even feel qualified to even be saying this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like, am I receiving, am I in order? But ultimately, friends, like what I'm receiving about this is that I guess as a quote unquote teacher, right, as somebody, as a quote unquote leader, we got to be above reproach. We got to make sure we got the solid foundation of Christ, because if we don't, right, the message can still go forth, right, and God can still use you in it, right. But at the end of the day, He's going to say, hey, yeah, you may have done this in my name or that in my name, but I never knew you. You never did what I wanted you to do, or whatever the case may be. And that's concerning to me. And I hope that if you're listening to the sound of my voice, that it can be concerning to you when you think about these things. What I'm reminded of, because I don't know if I wrote. Yeah, well, let me say it in this moment then. So what I'm reminded of is yesterday I ended up posting this. I took a screenshot of something I saw on Instagram, and I posted it in our community. And it basically was this police officer that pretty much got caught, with someone he arrested, I guess having sex. And basically he turned the camera off, and then I guess got in the back seat with the person and got locked in the back with the person, and then somebody else had to let him out, and he had all these excuses about why he was back there. But regardless of that, for me, I just pretty much shared it on the platform to just remind people that if we are in some type of leadership, right, if we're in some type of role like that officer is, like we got to be living above reproach. Like it ain't about being perfect, because again, we all sin and fall short, right? But it is about like being in order and being decent in order, things like that. Like there's several things that was wrong about that situation, right? He shouldn't have been communicating with the lady the way he was communicating with her. He shouldn't have turned his camera off, and he shouldn't have got in the back seat with her. So it already looks like he's guilty based on those things, now maybe they did something, maybe they didn't, we don't know, right? But regardless of that, I guess I'm just reminded of this conversation about leadership and all this type of stuff, like, or teaching, or any of these things, like again, God can use you, right? And you can go forth, and you can be preaching Christ and things like that. But what is true about you, or what's in your heart, is going to come out. It's going to be brought to the light. Matter of fact, here's a verse that talks about that. Matthew 7:21 through, oh no, I just read that one. 1 Corinthians 3:10-13. It says, each one should build with care. For no one can lay any foundation other than the one already laid, which is Jesus Christ. Their work will be shown for what it is, because the day will bring it to light. So at the end of the day, again, we know this at the end of the day, it tells us often that, what's done in the dark is going to come to the light. And so what the true motives of your heart is going to be revealed. So at the end of the day, like, it just behooves us, right, to get in alignment with the Lord, make sure our heart is right, make sure we're doing things decent and in order, and just do, and do that. There's nothing wrong. If God has called you, right, he will confirm you, right? He will be right there with you, and you will have that solid foundation. And there will be ups and downs, of course. Everybody goes through that. But I guess what I'm saying today is that, we just got to make sure our heart is right with the things that we're doing. Is our motives right? We got to be asking these questions. There was a few questions that I was kind of coming up with, and, because I was really trying to seek the Lord about, like, how do we know then, Lord? Like, how can we know, if we are in order, or if, you really did lead and guide us to do the things we're doing, different things of that nature. Unfortunately, I didn't write none of that down because, like I said, I was just trying to write down the verses and stuff like that. But if you feel led to go deeper, by all means, check out the verses that I wrote in the Go Deeper section, and just start to ask yourself those questions, and the Lord those questions about you and your ministry, or you in your life, or you as a disciple, whatever the case may be. Just seek the Lord, friends, because it seems like this is a really serious thing that God ain't playing with. Like, yeah, okay, Jesus can be preached all the day, right? And he gonna use it, right? Because at the end of the day, it can be a blessing to somebody else. But when you stand before him, he's gonna let you know whether your heart was truly pure or not. And matter of fact, we see all around us, people keep getting exposed left and right, that are quote unquote leaders, right? Quote unquote ministers, quote unquote pastors, quote unquote people in positions, right, are getting exposed for what their heart, what is truly in their heart. And so, yeah, that's just one of those things. I could go deeper about it, but let me go ahead and give you guys another Bible verse. James 3:1. It says, "Not many of you should become teachers, because you know that we who teach who will be judged more strictly." At the end of the day, like I said, even me, little sitting here, little Miracle Sim sitting here on GSL, like, again, I gotta, be held accountable as well. I told y'all last year I was really, really struggling with some things, when it came to my marriage and things like that. And I feel like if I kept on that path, if I didn't humble myself to the Lord, if I didn't, say, Lord, you know what, please help me with this, X, Y, and Z, there will be a totally different thing y'all probably seeing and hearing from me today. And I exposed myself, and y'all can go back to that juice, go to exposed. Y'all can hear more about that because I ain't got time, like I said, to go deeper about that right now. But what I'm saying is, like, there would have been a whole different type of conversation if I'd have just kept on that path and stayed in my own selfish ideas and things like that. And so with that being said, like, even me is what I'm saying. I'm just being honest. Like, at the end of the day, I am human as well, right? So I got to humble myself to the Lord and say, hey, Lord, help me, right, to do this thing your way, walk this out your way, make sure my heart is pure, make sure my motives are right, all these different type of things. And so I hope that we're all led to do that today. Again, y'all can go deeper. I hope that anybody listening to the sound of my voice will go deeper about this. Plenty of verses to peruse and let marinate on your heart, souls, and minds. And like I said, maybe later I'll try to get those questions and stuff like that we could try to ask. Maybe I'll try to post that later on today if the Lord's will. But let me go ahead and leave you guys with the Bible verse of today. And that is James 1:19. It says, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, if every man be, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath." Friends, I hope you guys enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. And there you go, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, anybody listening to the sound of my voice. I hope that you guys are encouraged and inspired. Thank you so much for listening, watching, subscribing, and sharing all those wonderful things. Like I said, I know that is a heavy juice and I kind of sped through it, but I hope that you guys received what I was saying today. I don't have too much time to talk more about it. But if I can post those questions, like I was saying earlier, I'll post those things in the community, and y'all can, ask yourself the questions, ask the Lord the questions, and see what he said to you about this. Again, plenty of verses for you guys to look at on your own about this as well. I guess I done did my part, so I'm gonna get ready to go so I go to work. But y'all have a wonderful day, and yeah, I look forward to talking to y'all tomorrow if the Lord's will. Bye.